Hey, it's Marion from Building Bulletproof Backs. Just another little learning from yesterday I wanted to share. Client came in, back pain of course. This time I really feel his hips were the major contribution to his back pain. Interesting, right? Very possible. Let me tell you some of the giveaways. He walked in like this. I'll try not to exaggerate, but really turned out, mega turned out. I thought, here we go, we have a rock climber or we have a dancer. He was a window cleaner. So due to whatever mechanisms and when he's cleaning his windows, sometimes he finds it better to balance the inside of his foot on the windowsills in a turned out position so that he can actually generate force with his arms and his hands. So yeah, his hips have evolved to be super turned out, which is, awesome that our bodies react to stimulus and that they respond to how we use them. Great for his window cleaning, but problem with those hips is that they're so skewed towards one option of his movement range that's limiting his pelvis ability to move. So try now, get on your feet and turn your feet out to their maximum turnout, as far as you can get, and then with your pelvis, just try and wriggle it. Try and tuck it under, try and anchor it forward, and just notice how much movement you've got. Just get a sense of, is it easy or tricky, or can you go forward a long way and maybe not back a little way? Which movement feels freer? And then bring your feet into this position. I would call that neutral, pointing forward, and just try the same movement and just see if you can get a sense of what changes in your body. Is it easier? Is it harder? And then finally, turn your feet in, pigeon-toe it up, soften your knees a little, and try the same exercise. Now you're all going to have a different answer based on what's going on in your body. But essentially, when this guy was so turned out, his hips are so locked at an end range angle that it's limiting his pelvis's ability to tuck under. He could go in different directions, but not much. When we moved him into neutral, there was a lot more freedom in his pelvis. When we wound him up, well, in this guy, we actually couldn't wind him up into internal hip rotation. He'd absolutely lost it. His hips only know how to work out here. Physically, him trying to turn it in and me manually when I tested it, we got the same end point. So his hips have adapted to pretty much offer no internal rotation, which is a bit of a big deal because it limits then his ability to get an anterior tilt in his back, which is we need internal rotation to help us get anterior tilt, or this one. When we turn out our hips, we can get more of this one. So what was the advice? Well, we did a bit of work on improving his hip internal rotation. It felt, as a physio, we have this thing when we test end range of a joint, and if it feels springy, we get a sense it's a soft tissue limitation. If we feel there's just a dead end, it's almost like bone on bone, we call that a bony end feel, and it's indicated that there's just a physical limitation in the joint. So initially when we tested, I couldn't distinguish. I was like, I'm not sure. It kind of was in between. So I did a few techniques where you encourage you to do a hold relax technique. You get the muscle to push, you get it to relax, you see if you can take the foot further and further into range. After a few of those, the improvement in range was significant, which indicated to me, okay, his hips were actually not bony restricted. This was a soft tissue restriction, meaning it's being held by tightness in the muscles that have adapted to being in this turned out position. So guess what his exercise was? As strange as it sounds, I encouraged him when he was going for his morning walks to pigeon-toe it up, do the opposite of what he does all day. And that to him was such a simple thing to incorporate into his day-to-day life. He could still do his frogging out position when he's on the windowsills, but it's like anything. If we do a lot of one motion, we need to feed the system the opposite motion to keep it in balance. Now, I could have given him a lot of hip internal rotator strengthening exercises. I could have given him stretches for his hip external rotators. Or I could just tell him, if you're walking, turn your feet in, because that's going to do both. That's going to strengthen what we need to strengthen and stretch what we need to stretch. That's what he opted for. Depending on the person, I might have given all three, depending on how keen they are, how motivated they are, how compliant they are. But I think most movement teachers, therapists would say some people are just more motivated than others to do exercise regimes. And wherever possible, I think we get way more compliance in someone by giving them a movement exercise rather than a sheet with 10 of this, 10 of that, 10 of that. And I think reintegrating movement that he can do regularly will rebalance his hips over time, or at least stop this only ability to turn out and no ability to turn in. The system is wired so that if we only do one movement and we don't do the opposite, we lose the opposite. And it's logical, because the body says, well, he never does this. Why does he need this? Makes sense. So effectively, hip motions can really affect back pain, because when you take the hips fully turned out, you limit the pelvis, which then puts the vertebrae in a biased position all day. They're unable to access the opposite of what they need, and so we get a postural strain sort of scenario kicking in. His back pain instantly felt better when we took him into a pigeon-toed position, which was the confirmation from the body, yes, please, I cannot do this anymore. I need the opposite sometimes. And you know, what great feedback from the body. How easy. The pain was just the body saying, dude, I need you to understand. I cannot be locked at an end range point all day, every day without having some problems. So the pain was a great opportunity to learn some simple new movements that was going to unwind his system and keep his hips as neutral as possible over the next course of God knows how long he has on this planet. If you keep walking in a those hips are going to wear out very rapidly. He'll be looking at hip replacements in the next 5 to 10 years if he doesn't correct that pattern. So yeah, the back pain helped us hopefully save some hip replacements. Isn't that lovely? Thought I'd share that one just so that if you're sitting there in back pain, you can start to make the link between where your feet are pointing, how that affects your hips, how that affects your pelvis, how that affects your lumbar vertebrae. And if you have never had this sort of stuff assessed in your own body, then think about doing my 6-week Build a Bulletproof Back course. The first week is all about your mindset. The second week is all about the emotions. And from week 3 to 6 is pretty much all about this movement stuff that I keep going on about. I try and help you become aware of all the missing parts that you may not have considered, which may be keeping you in this back pain cycle. And effectively, your education is your best weapon to move from being in pain to building a bulletproof back. You have the power once you know how. You just need someone to teach you the stuff that most people aren't looking for or don't even know to look for because it's not common knowledge. Hope that helps. Please drop me a comment. I like to know that these videos are actually having an impact on somebody out there. If I feel like they are, I keep creating them. If I feel like it's crickets and there's no response and no one's getting anything useful, it makes me think about whether I need to be pivoting in a different direction. So hope it helps, and let me know if it does. Till we chat again, ciao for now.